Hey, everybody, it's Dave here from Vikings First and Skull. And it's Wednesday, 4 o'clock in the afternoon on a long hump day. Well, you know what that means. It means it's time to talk the NFC North. We do that on Who Will Be King. Let the battles begin. And we're live. And we have joining us on the far left, the viewer's left, Pay, the man from the city of big shoulders, Chicago. How you doing, Pay?
I could be better.
Could be.
Not my favorite time of the year. Weather's getting cold. Team sucks.
Still stuck with Eberflus, yes.
Yeah, still stuck with Eberflus. You're right.
And in the middle, on the left, we have the man of many talents from Detroit, June. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Considering, like you mentioned earlier, it was a long night last night, which makes for a long day today. But we're gonna get through it.
Yeah, we're going to talk some NFC North football.
Yes.
Speaking of which, we also have Foster from the city of Detroit. Foster, how are you doing?
A little under the weather, but I'm gonna make it through though.
Good. Just like your team. Not that they were under the weather. It was weather that made a huge difference in that game. And you guys could play in it. Tell us about how the weather affected you all as you went to Lambeau, and it was pouring rain most of the game, and the wind blew sideways.
I feel like it definitely affected Green Bay a lot more than it affected us. I mean, they had a lot of drops, bad snaps, et cetera, et cetera. It certainly probably affected our aerial attack, but we ran the ball real well, took care of the ball, had some key takeaways or a key takeaway in that game, and ultimately it favored us, especially with how susceptible our team is to the long pass and how well Jordan Love, gets it out there.
How well he gets it out there? I thought that pass to your defensive back was just superb.
Oh yeah, I was all for that attempt right there. For
Okay.
Sure.
June, what did you think of the game where you defeated the dreaded conference rival?
I think we took advantage of the miscues. I know the weather had a part of it, like Foster said. Jordan Love had a bunch of missed snaps. The pick six he threw in the waning minutes of the half. I think that really kind of shut the door on everything. I think it was over at that point. It was 10-3. He throws a pick six. Then you have 17-3 at half when it could have been 10-3. And then you have the Lions getting the ball in the second half. So huge momentum shift. I think we showed that we're just not a dome team, that we could play outside in the elements like anyone else. I hate the weather factor though. I just hate it. It shouldn't have an outcome on the game, but this is football. Football was made outside, so it is what it is. Both teams had to play in it, and the Lions weathered it a little bit better than Green Bay.
Yep. Hey, it could be rainy, muddy, snowy. It could be all sorts of things except for lightning. It's the only thing that stops football.
Absolutely.
But I want to congratulate you on that win. It was impressive. We all got to watch it. And luckily we did, other than Pay, who was watching his own game. Pay, tell us how the Bears did this last Sunday.
Well, luckily for me, I was able to get away from my own game to watch the Lions and Packers because my game was pretty bad. It wasn't entertaining whatsoever. It was an ugly game. It was, in fact, that game was uglier than when Ving Rhames put that wig on in that one movie. I forgot the name of the movie, but it's pretty ugly.
2-1-2.
No, not that movie. Not that one. It's still ugly though. Little uglier. So I'm just ready to call it. The team is mid right now, and Flus terrible. He's cheeks. I'm sick of Flus. And if you can tell by my disposition today, I'm a little down. I didn't get the news I was looking for yesterday. All of Chicago, we was looking for breaking news as we tuned into WGN late yesterday. Maybe wake up and see some good news on WGN or any whatever news broadcast you watch. We was hoping to see, hey, Chicago Bears fired Eberflus, and installed anyone, because at this point anyone's better. It's hard to say that first loss that we took to the Commanders 2 weeks ago didn't snowball and become 2 losses, because the Arizona Cardinals is possibly the perfect get right game that you would want after a tough loss. They're bad. They're like 25th or worse in every defensive category. So you would want this team. Like, okay, yeah, this is the get right game. You want this team. Except we didn't show up. We scored 9 points against a terrible defensive team. And to make matters worse, our defense was all around bad too. The defense, the rush defense, gave up 200 yards on the ground. I think it was 6 yards per carry. 5 yards when at least 15. 5 carries when at least 15 yards. Bookend by that end of the first half touchdown run from DeMarcado. He went 53 yards. It was a back-breaking, deflating play, sort of like when Jordan Love threw that back-breaking, deflating play, pick 6 at the end of that first half that I saw because I was turning away from my game because it was uninteresting. After that game, our defense is ranked 28th, near the bottom in rush defense. It was all bad, and have us looking for answers, which all comes back to, hey, fire Flus.
Gotcha. Well, I'd heard rumors shortly after the game on my shows. People were dropping in and saying there's discussion of that. And I read a report today, sent it to one of my partners in crime, Darren Campbell, for 2 bloggers, about how it was written up that there's problems in the locker room now in Hallis Hall.
I mean, it seems to be that way. Just looking at their body language and how they're playing, it looks like there's a disconnect. I think last week, the game prior to the loss to the Arizona Cardinals, the loss to the Cardinals, the Commanders rather, that's how you lose a locker room. Stuff like that, because it was boneheaded coaching decision after boneheaded coaching decision after, one after another. The reason why Flus was retained, he was brought back to be a lame duck coach and, still have to fight for his job, fight for another contract, was because the locker room responded to him. The locker room, to a man, like, yeah, we like this guy, especially on the defensive side. It don't look that way anymore. And if that's the case, why waste time?
Interesting. Do you think your GM's going to get another opportunity to select a new head coach?
Unfortunately, I don't want him to make any more of the personnel decisions, roster decisions. if you ask me, 'cause I haven't been a fan of 80% of them. But that's just, I've got that thing that you have, June. I don't like it, but it ends up turning out just fine. But they don't really, as of right now, the book is still out on what Poles does from a personnel standpoint. He probably buys himself some more time just because he did draft Caleb Williams at the top of the draft. And you have a quarterback that you're attached to. You do get to ride that out, pause. So he would have the nature of the business lets you know that he would probably still be able to pick another coach. And in my opinion, if you pick one bad one, you're probably gonna pick another one.
If you had your choice, who would you select?
I would weaken my division rivals by strengthening us. Ben Johnson, come on home.
I have heard that name fly for you guys for all over Twitter this weekend. So interesting. Let's see if it happens or not. Hey, one of my viewers here said, extend Eberflus. That's what we want. Of course, he's a Vikings fan.
That's the same user that said Trey McCarthy. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Just making sure.
Too evil to hope. We love Too Evil. He's a contrarian. But it is what it is. Well, those were two of the games last weekend. The third was the Vikings game. Vikings hosted the Colts on Sunday Night Football. And unlike normal this season, they took their first two drives, marched right down the field, and then turned the ball over. We got, oh no, here it goes again. And then we're doing it again. And our center steps on our guard's foot, gets absolutely demolished, rolled over. Sam Darnold gets just leveled in the head. Arm across the face mask, just smashed. Strip sack, ball picked up, run back for a touchdown. Strip, fumble, 6. Now, there was a flag thrown. And with that flag, we're going, yes. Because obviously, Darnold was clubbed. They pick up the flag. Ask for an explanation. There was no flag or no face mask on the play. And our coach is screaming, Kevin O'Connell, yeah, but what about hitting in the head? Isn't that a penalty? Sorry, we didn't see it. There's your NFL officiating again with their sunglasses and their white stick. Just frustrating. But the Vikings came out in the second half and dominated and eventually won 21-13. Our defense played fantastic, only held them to 6 points, never let them in the red zone. It was a dominating performance by Minnesota to get back on the horse and win. So there's Eric LaPonte from New Mexico. He's a green chili eating fan of mine. Anyways, JJ went off for 137 yards, 7 reception, now leads the NFL in receiving yards after 8 games played, where other receivers, the next 2, have had 9. We are blessed, to say the least, with having him. We had TJ Hawkinson back, caught a few passes. However, the game plan seemed to be using TJ as a diversionary tactic and send the ball towards Oliver, our blocking tight end, who caught the first pass of the game and caught the last touchdown of the game to seal it. So it was good. Mark's saying, keep calm, Cashman will be back. Yes, we'll get into week 10 here shortly. But the game was a little bit costly. I don't know if you saw, but our field goal kicker, Mr. Will the Thrill Reichard, was gimping around during the game, and he had a pad on his right quad. Well, it turns out he has a quad injury, is all they're calling it, and they put him on short-term IR this week. So we signed something Romo, kicker we had in the offseason as our replacement, but we also lost our long snapper. He made a tackle on a punt play and probably broke something in his hand, and he had to have a surgical procedure done, and he's on short-term IR. So we signed a veteran long snapper. So it should be interesting how that goes. But that's it. Lions win, Vikings win. Packers obviously lost, thankfully. And the Bears seem to be imploding. Have I got that right? Any last bits on last week's games?
The takeaway of the week, Packers can't play in weather. Good for them.
In an outdoor stadium, yes. Gotta love it. Now, switching topics. Yesterday was a big day for the nation and for the NFL. We're not going to get into politics except for one referendum. Chicago had on their ballot to pay for the new stadium. And it was soundly defeated. I read where it was 79% of the people said, hell no, we ain't paying for it. Pay? Are you getting like Minnesota and you can't have nice things?
Well, Minnesota has two nice things that I would prefer to have: a modern stadium and a winning football team. So I don't know, Dave. I'll take if that's the life of not having nice things. Sign me up. So what are we saying here? The populace. If you give the populace the opportunity, if you give them the choice, hey, do you want more taxes? To a man, they would probably say no, right? Even if you explain to them what the tax is going to pay for, and it's typically things that you would want or you would enjoy, they'll probably still say, hey, find somebody else to pay for it. Didn't surprise me whatsoever. But what's going to happen is that they're going to pay them for it anyway, one way or another. They're just going to hide it in some other bill. I remember 10, 15 years ago, former mayor, I believe it was Lori Lightfoot, she started a paper bag tax. So to explain it for anybody that doesn't know, you go in a grocery store, Jewel's, Publix, Whole Foods. Well, Whole Foods doesn't have paper bags, but the gas station, and you buy your items, and they give you a bag. That's extra 3 cents added to your bill because you got a plastic bag tax. Stuff like that. You find ways to get the money that you need, right? Hiking up the price on squares. I'm sorry, cigarettes. Hyping up those prices. Or you can pass it off to your tourism agency, not tourism agency, but the tourism industry, which is carrying a lot of weight for Chicago. You got high hotel taxes, high
venue
rent, high rental taxes, stuff like that. High taxes when you fly into Midway, O'Hare, stuff. Any of that stuff. I'm sure the citizens of Cook County would enjoy that, but just don't tell them, right? Because if you tell us tax, we're going to turn our nose. We're going to get irritated anyway.
Well, I found it interesting that it was held in Chicago's 29th ward, and it failed miserably. And they don't realize that some public spending like that actually brings in money, and you can make money on it. that's what's happened in Minnesota. Now, we know you have Kevin Warren as president of your operations to do just that, and he failed this time. Let's see if he retains his job or if he succeeds the next. So I thought it was interesting, but I understand it. People are hurting nowadays and they don't want to pay for anything extra. And they figure, hey, you got a lease through was Soldier Field through 33, 9 more years. What's the hurry?
Well, if it makes anyone in Chicago feel better, you'll only have to pay for one new stadium. Right? You won't have to pay for two because the other team is out the door.
The White
Think about the White Sox. The White Sox. So you got two teams. No, not yet. But it's all signs pointing to, listen, we're not paying for two stadiums. We'll pay for one. And, this is a Bears town. They'll eventually get the money. You're SOL, White Sox. Take it to Nashville.
Breaking it here. Pay. Saying the White Sox will move to Nashville. Okay.
And enjoy 120 losses every summer.
Wow.
Oh, wow. The Sky Spare asked, what's your view on Warren being a Viking? Who knows about him? Kevin Warren was put in charge of getting our stadium over the top back when the Wilfs bought the club, and he made it happen. And with a lot of fan support and everything else, it came down and they got the funding and made it happen. It's already paid off. It was a 30-year deal, and the Wilfs paid it off in 10. So it's making money, and it's obviously one of the best stadiums in the country. So it is what it is. I fully expected him to do it in Chicago, but Chicago has its own political machine and how it works. And I guess he hasn't quite figured out what needs greased and what doesn't to get it done.
I could tell him. It starts with a P. Palms. Grease the palms.
Wow.
Anthony's talking about California grocery stores charge for bags, whether they're plastic or paper. The plastic tax is California driven, but the paper tax for a bag is done by the store and not mandatory by the state. I've seen stores that have done that. So, extra way to squeeze that extra penny out of you. All right, enough.
I was going to say, or dissuade you from getting a plastic bag. Bring your own bag.
Yeah. Now on to the next topic. But first, let's take a quick break and allow time for our ads to be played on the audio side. It earns us a few extra dollars for a little beer or whiskey or improving our setup. So we appreciate that you join in and stick through listening to our sponsors. And that's enough. All right, we're back. Let's we had the trade deadline. NFL trade deadline was yesterday. Let's talk about some trades. June, I heard you guys needed a edge rusher. Did you get it?
Yes. Well, quite frankly, we did need a edge rusher, and me and Foster have been talking about this person on a couple of shows because the names were swirling around about Max Crosby and Myles Garrett. Well, me and Foster kind of figured that wouldn't be the case. And the guy that we talked about was Zadarius Smith, and that transaction actually happened. So I can't remember. I think we We acquired Zadarius Smith and a 7th-round pick for a 2025 5th-round pick and a 2026 6th-round pick, I believe. Foster, I don't know if I'm totally correct on that, but if I messed that up, you can help me out.
That sounds correct.
Okay. How do you think he's going to fit in, Foster?
I mean, I think that he comes in and he immediately is the most impactful edge guy. I mean, he has 5 sacks on the year already, which is better than anybody else on the edge has fared. And I think that he provides somebody that you have to respect and you have to account for. Well, we have a lot of depth guys that do a solid job, but nobody that anybody fears on the other end. So, yeah, I think that he will be impactful in pass rush, run stopping, and we have him under control until 2026. So we can pair him with Hutch and draft somebody else around. We can do a lot of different things, but um, he's been consistently healthy for the most part, and seems to be having a on par year. So he doesn't seem to be slowing down.
Are you happy with him, June?
The pass rush is better today than it was yesterday. So,
Okay.
I mean, that's all we can ask for. You got to think we lost our Hutch and Davenport, 2 starters at defensive end, and it's like we needed somebody.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, as Vikings fans, we know Zadarius Smith, obviously, because he was with us for a while, and he was obviously before that with the Packers. Zadarius is very good, but just a warning, he tends to wear down the second half of the season because of his age. But hopefully he can keep the productivity up for you guys. We'll see. Motown Mitch says incorrect. Lions also get an 87th round pick in return. Okay.
Nice.
Now, Pay, what did the Bears do on trade weekend or trade day?
Something dumb. The Bears are confounding. Anybody that's paying attention to what they were doing in the offseason, which will be me and my co-host, we said, hey, why do we have so many running backs on this team? There's no way we're going to carry all these guys to the opening day roster. They're going to trade one of them. And the name that popped up in our brains was Khalil Herbert. He was the opening day starting. I'm using a baseball phrase, but he was the running back 1 to start the season last year. So he should be able to fetch something decent if you trade him during the preseason, when you obviously have 3-4 teams that's out there that could use a running back, right? But Ryan Poles, as the aforementioned general manager guru or wizard for the Chicago Bears, he didn't do that. He decided to bring 5 running backs to week 1. Velus Jones, who's not a running back, he's a wide receiver. He just kept him around because he likes him. And I said he should not been on the team for a long time. And he proved reason why in game 1. He fumbled another punt. So that's one running back that's been cut. Travis Homer, he's a special teamer. He's just there to play special teams, really. And you have Khalil Herbert, who was traded yesterday, in addition to DeAndre Swift, who they signed in free agency, and Roschon Johnson, who they drafted in the 4th round last year. So why did it take so long to trade Khalil Hunt? Khalil Hunt hasn't had a snap in 3 weeks. It was figured that he was going to be the third back anyway in that rotation. Obviously DeAndre Swift is the guy because you just gave him $8 million. You just drafted Roschon Johnson, so that's odd man out easily is Khalil Herbert. Get him out of Dodge. Get some assets for him, Instead, we sit on our hands playing a game that I can't say on live.
Tiddlywinks.
Yeah, let's say tiddlywinks. Let's just say tiddlywinks for right now. We playing tiddlywinks, thumb up our hind parts, and we wait to trade deadline to send them away for a 7th-round pick. 7th-round pick won't make the squad. Well, might make this squad because this squad is ran like crap.
I just had to ask and rub it in a little bit. You're not the only one that gave away players. The Packers did as well. They traded away Preston Smith to the Steelers, linebacker. Now, he's a depth piece, and I have not listened to any of the Steelers podcasts on this network, Fans First Sports Network, the Steel Curtain Network, to see if they appreciated it. I've seen some tweets saying, yeah, it's okay, depth. But
they like everything.
Okay.
They're like a kid.
And the Vikings made all their trades beforehand with Cam Akers and then Cam Robinson at left tackle, who debuted last week for us and only had 2 pressures given up. No sacks, did well first time coming in, just practicing Thursday and walk through Friday. So we didn't find anybody else trade-worthy, even though all the fans wanted Sexy Dexy or Jeffrey Simmons. Those teams said no. So it is what it is. But we made it through all right. Are there any other trades league-wide that you guys want to hit on that took place?
Well, I think the biggest trade, the shocker, was Marshawn Lattimore being sent to DC. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the biggest one. DC's all in. That's what that trade sent to me. DC's all in, and New Orleans they're punting. Do they even have a draft pick? I remember for a while they had no draft picks. Are they allowed to draft now?
I don't know. It may be. They still may be suffering under the cap to get under. I don't know. But the Commanders, believe it or not, are 7-2.
Oh, I believe it. Yeah, we helped.
That is crazy to me. Obviously, working on Rookie of the Year for their quarterback. No slight to Caleb Williams, but he's going to get beat out this year. So it is what it is. It tells you what coaching does, how it contributes, and team building. It's not facilities.
I would not necessarily just say coaching. I would definitely not facilities. FedEx is a poop.
Yeah, it's an old stadium that needed replaced 30 years ago.
I would say having a new vision and then letting that new vision select the quarterback. If you have old infrastructure, bringing in a new guy, it doesn't end right. The Bears are an example. They do it all the time.
Well, Jayden Daniels has been remarkable so far this season, at least in my eyes. And the fact that he's still healthy, because he's so scrawny, blows my mind. But he's played some outstanding football. And well on the way to Rookie of the Year. Now, not on our notes, MVP discussion. There seems to be one person running away with it. He's been 80% accuracy over the last 4 weeks?
Something like that.
Yeah, that sounds about accurate.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's running away with the. I mean, the record is certainly going to help, but yeah.
There's a couple guys on that list that can
Well, you got Lamar. But Goff, you guys have been putting up, averaging 30-some-odd points a game, 40 points a game? That's just, and he's rocking 80% on completion rate? That's
in the rain.
He's very accurate in the rain the other day.
Yeah.
It's getting to a point where he's not getting his first incompletion to the third quarter.
I know.
Right.
Starting off 10 for 10 just about the last 4 games. Like it's
That's
crazy.
Mm-hmm. I know he started out well when he played us. So, and we're doing everything and within our power, B-Flow was to mess with his head, and it didn't seem to work. It's the only quarterback so far that it hasn't worked on. But
well, the most impressive throw was the one on 4th down against Green Bay in the red zone. It was like, I'm thinking, what are you doing? And he throws a back shoulder cut to St. Brown where he gets the toes in and score. It's 4th down. It's like, golly.
mm-hmm.
Perfect.
Top 5
guy.
wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That
He's
helps
top 5.
too. That helps too. But you got some good wide receivers in Chicago.
Yeah, are they?
Oh, now you're questioning.
All
Prove me
right.
wrong.
Speaking of Chicago, week 10, the Bears host another rookie quarterback as the New England Patriots come to visit at noon on Sunday. Give us a quick preview, Pay.
I don't think I can start the preview before talking about one of the other things that the Bears have been devastated by. The first thing they've been devastated by is bad coaching. Second thing is injuries. In the last 2 weeks, both tackles didn't practice today, and we've had a revolving door the last 2 games on that offensive line. Tackles, guards, centers. Everybody's been in and out of the game or missing, taken out of the game all completely over injuries. So, like I said, both tackles didn't practice today. Andrew Billings, our zero technique, he left the game early in the 3rd quarter this past week. He's done for the season with a torn chest. And that's on top of our dynamic starting safety, Jaquan Brisker. He hasn't played since the Jaguars game. He left that game early with a concussion, and he didn't practice again today. So it's trending in that direction where he won't exit protocol. So that would be a 4th consecutive game missed for Mr. Brisker. Our nose nickelback. I'm sorry, a nickelback, Kyler Gordon. He did return to limited fashion, and on a positive note, our 2 guards, Tevin Jenkins and Ryan Bates, they were a full go today. So a little bit of a good news before I talk about this, as you called it, another rookie quarterback battle. One thing's for certain, the Bears can't take anybody lightly, even if they're the 2-6 Patriots. Patriots do some things well. Their defense isn't amazing, but they're sound. And for all intents and purposes, Drake May, he's electric. He'll make plays with his feet and his arm. If you saw that end of that play, the end of the regulation play that he made against the Titans, that's what I'm speaking about. One of the areas other than that I mentioned earlier, the Bears struggling stopping the run. Ramondre Stevenson is a very good running back. He's had a couple of bad games this season, especially, but I think the way you can get to him is make him fumble the ball. We got to wrap up and, strike at him, peanut punch it, if you will. Another area that the Bears struggle with is covering tight ends. Hunter Henry is putting together a quiet, decent season from a tight end's perspective. He's obviously Drake May's favorite target. He had 8 targets last week, and he'll continue to get those same looks if you're messing around with the Bears. The Bears need to be sound. The Bears need to come into this game mad, be focused, not undisciplined, not doing any of the crap that they've been doing the last 5 quarters. I would hope that this game could be what I said about the Lions a couple of weeks back, a bye week. I will hope it to be. We just go in there, route them up real fast, get the good vibes going back before we kick off the division part of our schedule.
Well, the Bears are favored by 6 with an over-under of 38.5.
Just 38?
38.5. So
Just-
they
just-
expect a low-scoring, low-performing game, but the Bears to win by 6 points.
Just take the win, hey.
Oh, I want the win. We'll take the win. It's just how will it happen? How many miscues are going to happen on the way to that win? Are we going to give the ball to another offensive lineman? I don't know.
Hey, if they're healthy.
We didn't do that against Arizona, though.
We didn't do it against Arizona. We did some other goofy. We do enough goofy stuff.
Well, I looked at the weather. I thought if I remember seeing it's supposed to be in the 50s and just getting over some rain and some winds around 15 miles an hour. So it shouldn't be too bad.
The good news is we're back at home. The Bears are undefeated at home. The Bears, obviously that means the Bears haven't won a game on the road. So hopefully that home cooking, home energy matriculates into a home W.
Gotcha. Well, then the next game, also at noon, will be my game. The Minnesota Vikings will travel down to Jacksonville to play the Jaguars, and we don't know if Trevor Lawrence is going to play or not. He supposedly got a sore shoulder. We'll find out. They're another team that's in disarray. We're wondering if we can get Doug Peterson, their head coach, fired. Minnesota's favored by 5.5. We fully expect Blake Cashman, our middle linebacker, back from a bout of turf toe, which will help the defense even more. And we expect a beautiful day. It's supposed to be in the low 80s down there. No winds to speak of, and just gorgeous. We'll see if Minnesota can get another win, and we'll find out. And then we have, first off, the Packers are on the bye this week, so we don't have to talk about them. So that's always good. Then we get the primetime game where the Detroit Lions, on the road again, travel down to Houston, Texas, to play the Texans.
Mm-hmm.
Foster, what do you see happening in that game?
Well, it's yet another road opponent that opponent that we're facing on the road. They're 6-3. They're 4-0 at home, and the Lions are 4-0 on the road. So something will certainly give in this game. They have a strong defense. They're ranked second in the league. They have a strong pass rush. They got Daniil Hunter on one side, and then they have Will Anderson on the other edge. That's 7.5 and 5.5 sacks between the two of them. And they got a pretty young secondary, a couple rookies, Kalen Bullock and Kamari Lassiter. But they have been very stout against the pass. They're stabilized by a couple veterans and just young stud players like Ward and Derek Strictly. But they're dealing with some injuries. Stephon Diggs is obviously out for the year. And then they got Nico Collins is on the IR, so they're dealing with some injuries. And the word around town is that Stroud has made a little bit of a regression, but his numbers look okay. I mean, 11 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, but they are allowing they are fourth in the league in sacks allowed. So it appears they have some offensive line issues. So once again, the Lions will be tested. Their secondary will be tested. The glaring statistic is the fact that we give up a lot of yards, but we're a bend but not break type of team. We're very strong and very sound in the red zone. We're fourth best in the league in the red zone. We have a lot of takeaways, and we're third in points allowed. So despite the fact that we give up a lot of points, we give up a lot of yards. We don't give up a lot of points. So yeah, I think that this is I think the only thing that can beat the Lions are themselves at this point. So as long as we do what we're supposed to do and protect the ball, I think that we'll be in a good way.
Yeah. You agree, June? What are you looking forward to in your game?
I'm looking forward to see how the pass protection holds up. We know that Goff is better when he's not having to run or move around as much. That that pass rush of theirs is pretty good. They're an aggressive pass rush. I expect some some check offs, some misdirection a little bit. You know, maybe a couple of screens. Just kind of offset what they do defensively. Those two corners are very, very good. They're young, but they're good. I'm a big fan of Lassiter. Um, it's going to be an interesting matchup. Our offense versus their defense. That's going to be the key of the game.
Well, you guys are only favored by 3.5, which is sort of shocking to me, especially considering you lead the league with 110 point differential, which means you're dominating.
I think it's going to be a tough game, though. I do.
Okay. Vikings are third, if I remember correctly, at 59. All the NFC North are positive. The one team you do not want to be is the Carolina Panthers, who are negative 146 in differential.
I thought you were going to say the one team you don't want to be is the Packers. Yes, I agree.
Well, nobody wants to be the Packers.
No.
So it is what it is. All right. Well, that brings us to the end of the show. Pay, where can they find your work?
You can find me and all of my great co-hosts and our slapstick takes on Chicago sports and general Chicago happenings at the Frustrated Chicago Sports Fan channel. You get it the same, very aptly named because the frustration is very palpable around these parts. Same name. You can find the audio only anywhere you get your podcasts. That's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, etc., etc.
Gotcha. You also do other shows. What's your next show coming up?
Well, today, after this show, we have another live broadcast on that same platform on YouTube. Stop by. We'll be talking about sports betting with a heavy focus on football. Basketball season just started up, so we jump into some of that too. We dibble and dabble. 2 weeks ago, we hit our pick six, which is a six leg parlay. We hit it. It had 12-1 odds. So if you played it, congrats. You're welcome.
Bet it paid well. June, where can they find Bleachers to Speakers?
You can find Bleachers to Speakers on YouTube at Bleachers to Speakers. You can also find us at all the podcast aggregators, Bleachers to Speakers FFS. And we usually do a Lions show before and after the game the same day. We don't do any shows before the first kickoff, so we don't disrupt the football at all. Not that we causing a big confliction or anything. I know people are going to choose to watch football, but usually if you want to get your pregame on, you can check us out there. Sunday, it'll be a late game, and it just depends on how Foster feels after the game, if we're going to go live after the game. Might be.
Come on. You got to stay up. I did last week.
Yeah, more than likely, yes. More than likely, yes. So we'll be on after the game. If not, it'll be the next following morning. But definitely, we are going to, and we might have a show tonight. Pistons play tonight. You might see Foster do a halftime show or a show after the game. Who knows? But we air a lot. So just tune in. Make sure you're following us. So when we drop content, you'll get an alert. So.
You're trying to get your subscriptions up too.
Yes. Please subscribe to Bleachers to Speakers on YouTube. I've been asking for a long time. Like, we're trying to get to at least 200 subscribers by the end of the year. We're getting close. Please subscribe.
Yep. And a reminder, who will be king? The FFSN NFC North Roundtable rotates. And to get to watch it, you have to subscribe and know when to come on usually Wednesdays, sometimes Thursdays. And June and Foster will be hosting here in a couple weeks. Pay's got it next week. So it is what it is. Foster, what other shows does Bleachers to Speakers do?
We have post-game podcasts, which is the Pistons show, and we have another couple, which is the Detroit Tigers show. So you can find all our content at that location as well.
Okay. And of course, everybody here already knows about Vikings First and Skull. We'd love to have you both subscribing on YouTube, but especially over on the podcast side where we're drop some podcast only stuff during the week. And to get you listening, especially when you don't have time to watch our beautiful faces. So it is what it is. And plus we have a written side over at Fans First Sports Network. Just click NFL Vikings or go Fans First or VikingsFirstandSkull.com and you'll direct you there. Pay, what do we say?
Bear down. Go Bears, go.
Feeling it, buddy. Feeling it. June. And as always, Skull Vikings. All right. Like, subscribe, and rate us on your favorite podcast aggregator. Thank you for listening to this NFC North group effort on the Fans First Sports Network. This has been a Bear Claw podcast. Bleachers to Speakers. Vikings First and Skull. And of course, the Fans First Sports Network production. Thank you for listening.